All right, so this is video 2. We are going to get into the middle ground of our piece, and one of the things that I try to do a little bit more in my middle ground is to warm it up just a little bit. So there's a couple of different sections on here that we're going to be transitioning our color tone. So we have more of a bluer type cooler tone, and then we're going to get more into a warmer green tone over here. There's going to be little elements of warm. You can kind of see in the stars right there. I'd introduced a little bit of yellow right there, and then there's going to be a mix of warm and cool actually in this little circle right here. So the actual background, as we know, of the piece was done originally in this color right here. And so the color that's going to be introduced right here is going to be it's kind of a greenish bluish tone in your pack. So I'm just going to take it and mix it, and what I'm doing is I'm just doing little pointillism dots right here. And what I would try to do as you guys are working is to think about, when you have a blue or a blue-green, think about if there's any other blues in your pack that you could mix in with it. If you want to make things darker or even more muted, or just to change the actual look of the piece, you could include like an opposite color. Like I could pull in some orangey reds or something like that in this just to mix things up a little bit. I am though sticking, I'm trying to make this look like your example that I had posted on Schoology, but that could be an actual option. So as you get to the lighter area, what I would do is just pretty much leave it light. I'm trying to go more with a pattern that I already did with my base color. If you need to go a little bit further than that, you can. But in general, the plan is to stick with what you did originally and make that work. I can stick, I'm looking here at my different blues and all. This is my medium blue that I have, and I may stick just a little bit of this in the darker areas just to give it a little bit more depth. Okay, so what needs to happen in between this area and this area is a little bit of a transition. We're going to go into a very bright yellowy green color. So I'm going to introduce just a little bit of my blue-green that was there before into that area, just so that it won't be this big stark jump between each of the sections. So I'm going to take this is my my yellow-green, excuse me, and I'm going to pull this into here. And I'm making it a little bit heavier where there's a little bit of a transition right there between the two sections, and then I'm going to lighten it up and bleed it out here. I'm leaving the yellow. You can kind of see a little bit of the yellow creeping behind all of this. I would definitely leave a little remnant of your base tone there because it's your base tone, and make it obvious that that's kind of the thing that's tying things together too, especially if you have a similar base color. And quite a lot of this, you're going to have a more unified looking piece, which you guys do already. You only have 2 base colors. All right, so I'm just kind of blending that out. One thing, if it's a big jump, if you need to, I just sort of left it white right here. If you realize, oh my gosh, I've got to extend this, go with your base color again, like reintroduce that. Right here, you can kind of blend it out. Of course, you can, leave some white. It's fine, but I wouldn't just want to stop that green right there. There needs to be a little transition, so I'm going to just leave more gaps as I spread out my green to the more light areas. And less of my yellow, my background will show in my more the darker toned areas there. Okay, so I have that, and you know, you can see it's kind of getting that this nice little transition between the blue green and that green right there. So what we're going to be doing right here, I've got some little base tones right there, and in general what's happening here is you're going to have some little areas on this piece that are going to end up getting kind of a fuchsia purpley tone. So I am introducing, and these are two new colors that I haven't used before. I'm going to introduce this pink. This is the lightest pink in my pack. So I'm going to go from my light marker to my darker marker, and I'm going to add that in my already cooler blue that I have here. I'm just going to add just little dots right there. I'm going to leave this blue that I put on the corner just the way that it is. And I'm going to leave this yellow. It's going to be more of just a warm yellow tone. So some of your base colors, if you're wanting to just leave them, sometimes that's an okay thing to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start to build up my value. So I'm adding, it's kind of that medium reddish purpley color on top of this. And it's going to definitely make it darker. And so I'm adding it more in the dark areas, and I'm pulling it and blending it just a little bit in the lighter areas right there. Let's see here. I'm looking back and forth between this and my original. I'm going to take my base tone that I've pulled here and just blend it just a little. So if you've got, it's okay to have a lot of contrast here, but it's got to have a little bit of a tie and a bleed out in your different areas. If you're wanting to make this a little bit cooler, I'm going to introduce a little bit of what I put on my base tone, that blue. I'm just going to kind of darken and cool down that red, or the red purple, red violet that I put on the corner. So it's up to you guys as to what you want to do. Main thing here, I would say the purple back here would need to look obviously cooler than the purple that you stuck here. And if it doesn't, you can always go back and either add more blues right here or go back and kind of brighten it up. Just in general with a pink or whatever is in your pack that you want to use to kind of brighten up what you did with your application right there. So all right. Okay, so there's more areas really to my middle ground, but you kind of get the gist, I would think. I'm gonna add a little bit of, I don't have that many stars that I'm kind of skipping around right here. One thing that I would do, if this is yellow, I would do a little yellow bleed out right here, just so you kind of see that light reflection right there. But yeah, so I'm going to be getting into more of going into the middle ground to my foreground. So we'll look forward to doing that next.